So this one is for my landlords, right? Particularly any newer landlords or seasoned landlords, but newer landlords tend to have a lower bandwidth for non-rent payments because they're just starting out in their journey, right? So I want to talk about a couple of things I do to mitigate the risk of default on rent payments. The first one is lease protection insurance. Lease protection insurance is not part of your homeowner's insurance. It is a third-party product, right? Has nothing to do with your homeowner's insurance. So what the lease protection insurance company does is it pays the landlord out for any back rent owed or any rent remaining on a lease should the tenant default on rental payments. The caveat is you must gain possession of the unit first. So how does this work? Well, you have to have a landlord portal. You create your landlord portal with the lease protection insurance company and you add your properties. And then when you have a potential tenant, you send them a application via their email and they will fill out all the pertinent documentation that the lease protection insurance company requires. They do the credit check, they do the income check, and on your side, you have to give some kind of criteria to the lease protection insurance company within the guidelines of what they provide. So if you have a year lease, you may want 12 months of coverage. My advice is to get 24 months of coverage because a lot of times a tenant will just renew and you don't want to put them through the process again because it is one premium per lease. Okay, so if you have one lease, and they want a year of tenancy and you do 12 months of coverage and they want to renew, they'll have to go through the process all over again and pay another premium. And a lot of tenants, they don't like that. So I would say if you're going to do a lease, try and get a 2-year lease. But if they're adamant about a 1-year lease, get 24 months of coverage anyway, and sometimes even 36 months of coverage because the average tenant doesn't leave after 12 months, right? So what happens in the event of default, rental default? You have to gain possession, you have to evict the tenant, you have to provide the eviction documentation to the lease protection insurance company. Once they're evicted, you have the marshal documentation, you would submit a claim, okay? A claim for any back rent. And every month that you can't rent the unit, you would submit another claim and get your rental payments. The insurance company will go after the tenant that has defaulted. And a lot of times tenants won't, will try their best to avoid non-payment because they know the insurance company, unlike a landlord going to court, is going to pay you out and therefore come after them immediately. And we all know insurance companies have a far more reach. They will garnish your wages, take your tax refund. So a lot of people don't want to go that route, right? They don't want to get into the space where not only will they be hit with their credit report, they're going to be in, wage garnishment and all the things. And so I want to encourage everybody to get lease protection insurance. I have a free download in my bio. It is the 7 best lease protection insurance companies. It is free. Go ahead and click the link in my bio. It is self-titled so that you can prepare for your tenancy. And there's a couple. They all offer different products. They all have different guidelines. They all service different areas. Some don't service some areas, some service other areas. That is for you to do your due diligence when you contact them. Now, again, I don't collect security, but I require the tenant to pay the premium, right, in lieu of security. Because if you require security and the premium, it kind of is a financial hardship on the tenant. I'd rather have my lease secured than security deposit. Now, lease protection insurance coverage also has security deposit replacement coverage, so you can also include that. Once they are approved, and if they are not approved, I don't take them as tenants. But once they are approved, it is based upon their credit, their income, and the rent that you charge. Okay, sometimes if their credit is really bad, the premium is very high, and that's an indication to you that this may be a very hard tenant to take on, right? But if they want to pay the premium and they're they're okay with the guidelines and being on the hook for the rent, whether they can pay or not, by all means, that is up to you, okay? Another thing I want to address for landlords is instead of going into this, this new economy where people are having a hard time getting jobs or they're having jobs that don't pay a lot, try renting your property by room, okay? And again, you can have lease protection insurance on each tenant. You just need separate leases, right, for each room. And the same rules apply. They'll pay the premium based upon their income and the credit and how much you're charging. And if you don't get rent from one tenant, you're likely to get it from other tenants. It's very rare that all tenants won't be able to pay. So you don't have to worry about any reduced cash flow for a period of time, unlike when you have one tenant where you have to evict them. And for some jurisdictions, eviction may take a long time, but you at least will get your back rent. So again, I have a list of lease protection insurance companies in my bio. I teach this in the Tax Strategies Mastermind. For those of you who don't know, I'm 20 plus years in audit, accounting, and tax. My foundation is audit. My niche is tax. I am always preventative, and I teach these things alongside tax strategy because it's important to protect your investments, right? It's important that you don't lose out on the front end while trying to benefit on the back end, which is tax. So I hope to see you guys inside the mastermind. It is tax deductible, and we do group coaching in the private community off of social media. I answer all questions, and we connect via meet and greets every year. So if you do decide to join, check out your city, if your city and state is on the meet and greet, and join me.